inflammation is not a bad thing. It's good for a lot of times. But however, what happens with us now is that we're inflamed all day, every day for even minor things that we don't need to be inflamed for and things that we have complete control over, right? You cannot have control over oftentimes the air you breathe outside on the side of the street, but you have complete control about the air you breathe inside your home or the food that you put inside your body or the makeup you put onto your skin. So where we can, I want you to focus on reducing overall inflammation in certain areas that you can control. And it's really empowering. As you reduce inflammation, what happens is that your body, it doesn't have to fight so hard to stay well, and it has more energy to do what it's supposed to do, to digest your food, to balance your hormones, to, balance your neurotransmitters, to heal. And so we want to focus on reducing that chronic inflammation. Also, your body will start to heal itself without you trying too hard, because when it's decreasing inflammation, your body knows better than any supplement, any doctor, any you, how to heal. Like, your body is very smart. It just needs a helping hand in that right direction. It cannot keep fighting against chronic inflammation. But if you get that down, it can do its job and you start to feel better.
Welcome guest Maggie Berghoff. She is a founder and CEO of Celproceo, a health consulting company rooted in functional medicine and trusted by celebrities, professional athletes, and CEOs. Maggie is the co-founder and CEO of a business and marketing company she launched and runs with her husband. They offer a comprehensive business growth program, in-house done-for-you services such as PR, branding, web builds, and detailed course launches, and one-by-one and group business consulting. Maggie has been featured in hundreds of media outlets, including Forbes, Business Insider, Entrepreneur Magazine, Oxygen Magazine, US Today, and many others. She is the author of Eat to Treat, the 3-step plan to reduce your inflammation, detoxify your life, and heal your body. Well, welcome to the show, Maggie. I'm so happy to finally share this space with you. I've been following you and creeping on your social medias and all the goodness you share. So I'm just so happy to have this conversation on the show today. Thank you for being here.
Honored to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I gave a little introduction to you at the top of the episode, but really what I'm excited about, first of all, is to talk about your newest book that actually just dropped this week. So first of all, congratulations. I know it's such a big deal to birth a baby book, and I know it takes a lot of time and energy to birth a book, and I know this book is something that I truly think everybody should have in their hands. As I was sharing it with many people, as I was prepping for this interview this morning, I was sharing it out to the people I know, like, you have to get this book. This is something that really it's almost like an owner's manual to take your health into your own hands. So your book is called Eat to Treat, which is just to read out the full title, Eat to Treat, the 3-step plan to reduce inflammation, detoxify your life, and heal your body. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad it's out in the world and now it can be in everybody's hands.
Absolutely. So of course, let's talk about this subject. So you practice functional medicine, which we'll go into what that is for the people that don't know, but I would love to hear your journey in your relationship to healing your own body. Because as I know, part of your story is you were actually struggling with your health and you were trying to get a solution, and you went to the doctors and really didn't get such direction of what to do. So I would love to hear what happened with your health and how did you actually take your health into your own hands?
Yeah, so I had a massive health crash in my young 20s, and I felt it was sudden, but now I know that these things have been adding up for years and years and years. And what happened was, I call this the total toxic burden in my book. The total toxic burden became too much to where my body could not handle anymore, and that's when things started to decline really quickly. Now, the problem is that I declined quickly in the sense of symptoms. I was bloated no matter what I ate, chronic constipation, so tired. Even if I would sleep 10 hours, I would just still wake up so tired and groggy, headaches, skin hives. I mean, you name it, I had it. And so I was really struggling, and I went to the doctors, And they ran a bunch of labs and all this kind of stuff, and everything actually came back normal. So then everybody was telling me, you're normal, everything's fine. And I'm like crying, telling them, I am not okay. I ended up also gaining about 40 pounds in the span of a couple months. I mean, I was inflaming overnight. It was crazy. But on my little pieces of paper from my labs were normal in traditional medicine. And so all my doctors did was write me a bunch of scripts for all the symptoms. Here's for your bloating, here's for your constipation, here's for your skin, here's for your headaches, all these different scripts. And so I didn't honestly know any better. At the time, I was actually in school, in my last year of school, for a nurse practitioner degree. So I was actually on the medical track. And so I'm kind of left feeling like I have no idea what's going on. And so I ended up getting bounced around because my doctors also didn't know what was going on, from specialist to specialist to special. Like, the endocrinologist said, visit the cardiologist. And the cardiologist said, go visit the immunologist. And I just got bounced around. And eventually things got so bad that then I actually had a mini stroke when I was only 24 years old. I mean, it was really nuts. And then my labs did show abnormalities. And here's the really annoying part, is then my labs did show all these abnormalities. I was diagnosed with, 15 plus diagnoses, serious ones: PCOS, POTS, severe immunodeficiency, kidney disease, all this crazy stuff.
Wow.
And even then my doctors just said, well, we're not sure why this happened. Here are the medications to take for this. What? So this is what led me down to a path of, finding what's called functional medicine or integrative medicine, and finding a different way to heal the body, because I was stuck in a model that was not it for me.
Okay, so I'm sure a lot of people that are listening to this have probably experienced something like this, where you feel something is off. And then, of course, many of us go to traditional medicine doctors, and very often what they treat is the symptom, right? Like, I'm experiencing this bloating, let me give you this prescription. And that's really what is so unique, different, and special about functional medicine that I love so much, that I would love for you to kind of explain, is it's not addressing the symptom, it's addressing the root. And once you address the root, you cure the symptom. So if you could kind of maybe explain that in better terms, what a functional medicine practitioner is, and why that ended up healing you, like in the path of healing yourself.
Well, so when you have symptoms, we're trained in traditional medicine to figure out what medication can help with the symptom. We're not trained to ask the questions and dig deep and work with a human to see, why did you get this symptom in the first place? So a good example is, if you have hypothyroidism, the answer is to take a medication to help boost your thyroid and help your thyroid function more. But what functional medicine does is figure out, why does this person have low thyroid levels? Why aren't they making thyroid? And figuring out that answer and digging deeper, because if we know that answer, which we can find out, then we can actually rewire and rebalance the body, so you no longer have hypothyroidism at all. So it's a good example of kind of the difference between traditional medicine versus functional medicine.
Yeah, and that's what I think is key. And I know in your book is asking, you basically say, like, it comes down to this, like, ask the question, so why is this? And then when you get one answer, okay, so why is that? And kind of continuing to peel the onion, like getting really clear, like, okay, I have symptoms of high testosterone or whatever it may be. Okay, why? And then, like, maybe because of this. Okay, why? It's really fascinating when you get down to the root, like you said, like, there's a way to find out the cause of what is happening. And you do that through, or functional medicine usually does this through testing. So can you kind of describe your healing journey and what you came to find out about your body and really what was going on, and then how did you address it?
Well, I told you that on traditional labs, my tests were normal at first, and then they were abnormal, but there's no answers as to why. But with functional medicine tests, we can dig deeper to look at imbalances in the body. And this was critical for me. It also helped me just realize, like, you're not broken. You're not making this up. This is why you feel this way. And it's helpful to see in functional medicine deeper looks at your gut health, your microbiome. Do you have heavy metal toxicity? All of your different nutrient levels, your hormone levels, but instead of like a 1-day spot test that the doctor may take of your hormones, that I mean, obviously we know as females our hormones change, right? Everybody's do. And so, your hormones, but over a month span, so you can see what that curve is doing. So it's just way more detailed information on your body. And if you know that you have this stuff, say you have a parasite you found, or heavy aluminum in your body, or super severe nutrient deficiencies, it's helpful to be like, oh, that's why I feel this way. That's why this is happening. And it's something you can fix. So you have an answer to what you can do to help to feel better and to rebalance your body.
It's so remarkable. I remember when I went to a biohacking conference in London last year, I think it was, and I took a hair analysis test, and this was to test my minerals. And also, when it basically gives you windows into your metabolism, your adrenals, your thyroid, your all the things, your hormones. And it was so fascinating to me. Number one, there was a plethora of information in this testing, but it was so fascinating when they were walking through explaining what this means and why you're not absorbing certain things is because this. And it was the most fascinating thing to me, but it was so like, oh my gosh, I could take my health into my own hands by supplementing this, because as people have heard many times, our soils don't have the minerals they once had. So like you need to be supplementing certain things because the absorption of minerals these days. So it was so fascinating. But really what's amazing about the book you have today is really, in your mission, is helping people take ownership of their own health and letting them know that they have the ability and they have the tools to and the resources to do it on their own. Yes, you could go to somebody as yourself and somebody could guide you through that by providing the tests and kind of, going over the tests, explaining things, which is phenomenal, but it's also very accessible to everybody to read something like your book, Eat to Treat, and actually understand what these symptoms mean. So let's kind of go into this. So first of all, your book is mostly about inflammation. And what's so interesting about inflammation, I'm sure people have heard this as well, that inflammation is at the foundation of really all your health, and it is the cause to almost all the diseases, cancers in the world that are known today. So if you could kind of explain and kind of drill that home, why inflammation is so important and why we need to really be addressing that in particular.
Right. Yes. So when your inflammation is not a bad thing, it's good for a lot of times. But however, what happens with us now is that we're inflamed all day, every day for even minor things that we don't need to be inflamed for, and things that we have complete control over, right? You cannot have control over oftentimes the air you breathe outside on the side of the street, but you have complete control about the air you breathe inside your home, or the food that you put inside your body, or the makeup you put onto your skin. So where we can, I want you to focus on reducing overall inflammation in certain areas that you can control. And it's really empowering. As you reduce inflammation, what happens is that your body, it doesn't have to fight so hard to stay well, and it has more energy to do what it's supposed to do, to digest your food, to balance your hormones, to balance your neurotransmitters, to heal. And so we want to focus on reducing that chronic inflammation. And again, inside the book, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. These are some simple things, oftentimes free, that if you just knew that you should do this, you'll probably do it. And it's really empowering to take control of that and make these swaps in your life and watch yourself get better, not overnight, but in time. It's really cool. Also, your body will start to heal itself without you trying too hard, because when it's decreasing inflammation, your body knows better than any supplement, any doctor, any you, how to heal. Like, your body is very smart. It just needs a helping hand in that right direction. It cannot keep fighting against chronic inflammation. But if you get that down, it can do its job and you start to feel better.
It's so true. And one thing that you mentioned is like inflammation can be helpful and good, and it's necessary. Like inflammation is a signal that something is off, and our body is basically, it's almost like a warning signal. Like inflammation is there to basically fight what is not good, if you want to say. But there are things that we do in our everyday, let's say working out, that causes inflammation, or gosh, some other basic things that there are things that we do that inflammation is caused, but it's the chronic inflammation that is the concerning thing, where our body is on overdrive and it constantly is trying to fight something that's like, okay. And that's when disease happens, or autoimmune disorders or cancer, is when your body's like, I can't fight anymore, right? That
Mm-hmm.
overload. So talking about the inflammation, let's just, well, you describe in your book the 6 types of inflammation. I think this is really important to get clear on, because there are different types of inflammation and how you address each one. And that's where you bring in food and certain things to reduce the toxic load and the impact of these certain symptoms.
Yeah.
So if you could kind of list the 6 types, that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, so in part one of the book, the book is actually a 3-part series, and in part one, it's all about figuring out what's going on in your body. Like that's part one. You had to figure out what are you dealing with, so you know what to do next. So we have a great way to either you can get functional medicine lab tests done, which is very helpful, or read through kind of descriptions of different inflammation types and self-identify. And there's also a quiz you can take to figure out what you might be. Because advice for someone who's struggling with sugar inflammation would be very different than someone who's struggling with hormonal inflammation. And that's very different than someone who's struggling with chronic aches and pains. And so we need to make sure we know what you are dealing with at your core so you can focus on that problem first. And then the other things start to rebalance for free. Because oftentimes when you are inflamed and when you're struggling with your health, it's not just one thing that's wrong. It's not just that you have something off with your thyroid, for example, or your gut. You probably have multiple systems involved because your whole inflammation doesn't attach just one tiny thing. It's your whole body is likely under attack. And so systems will be impacted in that way. So what we do is we find out what's the primary thing going on. What's the first thing that we want to target? And then we can go from there to rebalance the rest.
And that's what the key thing is, like the key message is like everything is interconnected. It's not like sometimes as you were speaking about going to a doctor and you're treating a symptom that you feel, in your gut or whatnot, that is affecting, as people know, 70% of your immune system is in your gut. So imagine if your gut is affected, what else is that affecting? So it's all interconnected. And that's what I love about functional medicine. As you said, it's an integrative approach, a holistic approach, because it's all intertwined and all the systems work together to get this engine to keep moving, if you want to say, and keeping us healthy.
When I was first struggling with my health and then I got well, I completely rebalanced my body. Like I'm healthier than I've ever been before. And a lot of people used to ask me what was wrong. And it's really everything. It's not one tiny thing that was wrong, or they'd say, what was the thing that you did to help heal? And it's not just one thing. And, sometimes that can be frustrating if you're just looking for that one answer of that one thing to do. And I actually think it's liberating to know that if you just overall focus on health and wellness, like for example, part 2 of the book is all about creating a healthy environment to heal in your home, non-toxic living mindset. And part 3 is eat to treat. So what to eat, how to nourish your body, mindset around food. So if you focus on even just a couple of those things, your body is going to start getting well. It's not just one thing you do, and you can pick and choose the different topics that you want to zone in on now. It does not have to be, an all or nothing type of situation. One little change in your life can lead to the next, and then that leads to a huge impact in reducing inflammation.
Yeah. And actually, let's kind of talk about one in particular. So I know you probably have had many people come to you. I want to lose weight. I'm struggling with weight loss. I just like resistant, I'm just stuck. What to do? And people don't really realize this, that if you are inflamed, if your body is inflamed, meaning you're not digesting food correctly, you're bloated all the time, that inflammation is almost, correct me if I'm wrong, holding weight. So once you reduce the inflammation that's happening in your gut, and then again, that will affect every other area of your body, that reduce inflammation, you will finally be able to lose the weight. And I know, I'll just share my personal experience, because we were talking about if you eat healthy foods, you still feel bloated after that. You feel 3 months pregnant. You just have this gassy, bloaty feeling. Like I know that was me, because I've always ate clean food, worked out all the time. And like my lifestyle is great. But I know for myself, I always struggled with gut health. I would have that like 3-month belly or 3-month pregnant belly. And I'm like, what the heck? I feel pregnant. But I realized that, and I, again, eat really clean, the healthy foods, uh, that once I started to address, and I've learned a lot more about this in the people I've interviewed on the show. So I know about SIBO and like the overgrowth of bacteria generally is that one of the symptoms. But when I addressed healing my gut recently and getting the right supplements and being able to detoxify and rid myself of all the things that are not serving me and then nourishing it with probiotics, prebiotics, my inflammation, like I just naturally became leaner because I realized I didn't even know I had any inflammation, but after healing my gut, I was a lot leaner. Obviously, I felt a lot lighter, but I actually was a little thinner because that reduced inflammation. And that was mind blowing to me because I didn't even know I had inflammation. And so that's kind of what I wanted to address is like, how do you even know you have inflammation? Because sometimes it's not obvious. At least for myself, it wasn't obvious. So,
Well, it's an underlying cause of a lot of different things. I mean, you could be struggling with migraines and not think that it's even related at all, but if you fix the inflammation and you rebalance your body, your migraines go away. And so for the weight loss thing, it's incredible because instead of focusing on weight loss and I want to lose weight and what can I do to lose weight, if you focus on how can I rebalance my body and reduce inflammation and be the healthiest like human that I can be, you're going to lose weight naturally. Your body is going to be able to get to a level of where it's supposed to be. And so instead of focusing on the outcome of weight loss, focus on the process of decreasing inflammation in different areas of your life and the weight loss comes off. It's magical. It's so much less stressful and it's amazing. And if you trust the process, I promise it will happen. And also one thing is that sometimes when clients come to me, they're working out to lose weight. And I actually have them stop working out and instead do movement, go on a nice walk outside, get some fresh air, the light on your skin, all this kind of stuff. But actually, sometimes if you are currently struggling with chronic inflammation, fatigue, hormonal imbalance, gut imbalance, working out can actually be hurting you from getting the results you're looking for, which seems counterintuitive. You may be, thinking going to the gym and every single day or twice a day is what's going to get you your goals. But if your body is out of balance, your hormones are out of balance, actually it's going to do the opposite. So if you've never yet tried that and you're super frustrated on your weight loss journey, I mean, I'm giving you permission. Don't hit up the gym. Go on a nice walk outside, relax, maybe do some yoga. And instead of focusing on your workouts, focus on rebalancing your body. And I think you're going to get the results you're looking for.
And you come from your own personal experience with this because I know when you were sick, it's like you were working out all the time, you were eating right, you were doing all the things, but there were things that I know you talk about, like you probably weren't sleeping as well. You were, if you were binge eating sometimes, like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
that was in
I
your
was
book, right? Yeah.
yeah, I was healthy on the outside. Before I got sick, I looked healthy and fit. And I ate pretty healthy. I was eating organic, gluten-free, even like before it was a thing, all that kind of stuff. But I yo-yo dieted. I would follow workout plans. It wasn't intentional. I'm a real follower. So I would do a workout and it always came with a workout plan. That's like what was the thing back in the day, I feel. And I would follow the nutrition plan that aligned with the workout. But what happened is it left my body feeling very depleted and restricted. So then on the weekend or a random day, if I felt emotional or tired, I would end up binge eating. And it was this awful cycle of like starting over on Monday and yo-yo dieting and following the plan and then not on the plan. And it was horrible. So if you're struggling with that, definitely read the book because I get deep into mindset around food because that was something that totally I could not have healed my hormones and healed my gut if I did not yet first fix my mindset around food and nourishing my body. So for me with the weight, initially I was actually fit, appearance-wise, fit, healthy, etc. But my body was not healthy. So then I started to gain weight and inflame and I just blew up like a balloon. I mean, you should see photos of me back when that was happening. It doesn't even look recognizable to who I am. And no workout could have fixed that. I had to heal my body. That is how I had to get that weight back to a normal, healthier state. And in the process, bonus points, I became my healthiest self and I feel like a different human. And I no longer stress about having to hit up the gym or following this workout plan, like this strict plan or this nutrition plan. I get to live and enjoy my life and feel amazing doing it. And I could not have ever gotten to that point without rebalancing my body and healing at the core, truly healing, not taking a
And
medication, actually healing the
yeah,
body.
I think that is so key that we talk about the mindset of it is really creating a lifestyle plan instead of like a restrictive dieting yo-yo, like in that stress of like of course your hormones would be thrown up, of course your cortisol would be high because you're in constant like fight or flight because you're like battling the mindset around like, oh, I want to be healthy, oh, I like, oh, I want to live my life, oh, like, you're just constantly in battle with yourself. And I think a lot of people struggle with the mindset and creating a lifestyle plan. So we'll talk about that because I definitely want to get into that. But before we do, I wanted to ask, what are the main culprits of cause things that cause inflammation? If you were to list the 5 main culprits.
One, stress. Mental stress can cause inflammation. If you're so stressed, worried, anxious, for me, a lot of it was decision making. I would stress myself silly over a decision. That causes inflammation. So, mental stress can cause inflammation in your body, number one. A second one would be food. I mean, we know that food can cause inflammation, the types of food that you eat. The third one would be how you eat. What I was doing, the types of food, yes, like, wings and Cheetos and yada yada, alcohol, we know this causes inflammation. But how you eat, the yo-yo cycle of restricting food and restricting food categories, and then depleting your nutrients, and then eating a bunch of stuff that is very stressful on your body, very stressful. Bugs. So I had bacterial overgrowth in my gut lining. I know you mentioned a little bit about SIBO. I've seen clients who really struggle with H. pylori, just different types of parasites and overgrowth of bad bacteria in your gut lining, crazy inflammation. And then I would say food intolerances a little bit. Well, actually, that food intolerances, yes, but more than that, actually, would be ingredients and chemicals in your daily hygiene products, home products, the things that you're putting on your skin each day. 100%, if they are filled with chemicals, toxic ingredients, endocrine disruptors, artificial flavorings, food dyes, that will cause inflammation in your body. So I would say those are top 5 things.
Okay, so just to kind of pull out some of those, okay, food being the biggest one, let's say everybody everybody knows sugar causes inflammation. But let's talk about what if somebody were to pull out like everybody, like you should pull this out of your diet, what would be the 3 to 4 things that like if you want to reduce inflammation in your body, what would be those 3 to 4 things?
Well, number one, you could look at your pantry and your refrigerator and kind of do a detox of those items. And if you're starting from scratch, depending on where you already are right now, things that are chemicals, food dyes, anything that says artificial flavoring, any artificial colors, those are not good for your body. You can trash them. Step one. And instead focus on ingredients that are actual real ingredients. You can still eat packaged foods. I'm fine with that, but look at the ingredients and make sure that they're made with actual foods and not a bunch of chemicals and dyes and things that you probably can't even pronounce or know what they are. So that would be an immediately you do that and your inflammation goes down. Boom. Easy fix. A next step, I would say in general, just after seeing so many different clients and researching so much in general, if you're struggling with your health, it will probably help you to reduce or eliminate for a time dairy, grains, not just gluten, but actually grains and sugar. The reason is that the grains are hard to digest, and usually when people are having health complications, it can be gut related. So we need to be as easy as possible on the gut. Sugar we know is inflammatory and can cause insulin spikes and just different metabolic things with your health. And then dairy has been shown to be inflammatory as well, and also not great for healing a gut lining. In fact, it's kind of opposite. It causes some mucus buildup and it's not great for healing. And so again, if you eliminate or reduce those 3 things, you're probably going to feel significantly better. And those are some initial baseline things that you can focus on in your wellness. But again, from the mindset perspective, not from a place where then you feel guilty or shameful or regret if you eat that. I would rather if you want to you're out and getting ice cream cones with your kiddos, I would rather you get the ice cream cone, be in the moment, enjoy the heck out of it, love it, appreciate it, think about the flavors, and go on with your life than not eat the ice cream cone, but then be like regretful and then end up binging on it and just feel ashamed, going to work out extra hard the next day. It's all about the mindset around that. And because if in the second situation, you're causing yourself that mental stress, right? I talked about the mental stress and the inflammation. I don't want you to do that. That's more harmful than eating the ice cream cone, in my opinion. So I would focus on those things if you're trying to just have general recommendations of how to reduce inflammation in your life through food.
So great. Okay, so question about dairy, because I've heard people say that, oh, I have no problem digesting dairy. You know, I still drink milk, no issue. But the reason being, as you stated, is that it causes mucus in your body and inflammation. So even if you could digest it, it is not the best thing for your body. So I want to be clear on that, because I think a lot of people have that, oh, I could digest it fine. But I do have a question for those, because I actually have been loving it lately. There's a yogurt that has no sugar, no lactose, no artificial flavor. It's all good. I've read the label so many times to be like crystal clear, like this is good. And it's a Greek yogurt. But let me understand, if it says no lactose, but it's still Greek yogurt, is it still bad because it's dairy?
It really depends on everybody's body. I think it's definitely a superior option for sure. And you would only know if it makes a difference if you are stop doing it. You mentioned that they digest it fine. However, do they know that it's how they could feel if they don't have it? I've had clients before. Let me try to explain this easy. I've had clients before make certain health changes, and then they come back and they're like, I had no idea I was bloated, but now that I feel this way, I realize I've always been bloated. So it could be that perhaps removing it for a time and just kind of make this an experiment, you say like, oh my gosh, I feel so sharp. I can think so clearly right now. What? And then you recognize, oh wow, maybe that was causing me to be irritable or to be brain foggy or bloated or whatever the symptom is for you. So every body is different. I think that those types of items are better for sure, and your body might be able to be fine on it. But in general, it's not the best option for people who are in the thick of trying to heal.
Yeah. And this goes for cheeses as well. I know some cheeses are lower in lactose, but overall cheeses, again, dairy. Correct. So it's still going to.
So when you are, the general guideline is if you are dairy free and then you want to reintroduce dairy, goat cheese is a good option to reintroduce it. It's usually more gentle. It's easier to digest for most people. But even then, I eat goat cheese, but it's not a staple of my diet. And so, it's just about finding initially heal your body. And that's when you are, pretty tight on things. Then it's about finding your balance of what's best for your body. How do you feel your best? And then maintaining wellness through checking on your body. I love lab testing. Even once a year, maybe do your labs and see where you are. If you see that you're starting to have gut complications again, or hormonal imbalances or nutrient deficiencies, make some changes. And then perhaps you overdid it a little bit in some area or underdid it in another area. And so you can tweak as you go.
Yeah, so helpful. And then what would be, just to add in, because we have to say with the bad, we have to say the good. So what would help decrease inflammation? What would be the, let's say, 3 to 5 foods that are great go-to to help your body reduce inflammation?
Yes, I talk about this all the time. I love to flood my body with nutrients. So I'm always thinking, what is a nutrient that I can give my body right now? Because when you're struggling, you just need to give your cells some TLC so they can do their stuff. And so think of it that way of like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to flood my cells with all this stuff. So things that I love are, I actually love matcha. Is full of antioxidants. So if you are doing some caffeine, I would actually stop the coffee, replace with matcha, depending on if you're still doing caffeine at all. I love vegetables, of course, but a variety of vegetables. Like that's the key, and cooked. when you're struggling with your health, I would rather you have cooked vegetables most generally than raw. It's easier to break down. You're going to be able to absorb it better. And then the variety. So instead of eating, broccoli every day, all day, I want you to have a variety of different types of vegetables. This is going to help to really colonate your bacteria in your gut in a good way and have a balanced nutrient level. And then the other thing, I guess, for healing the body and nutrients, I mean, as basic as it sounds, hydration, chronic dehydration can really, really hurt your body and your mood and your mentality and how you feel. And so just making sure you're actually hydrated, not with things like, Crystal Light packets and things like that, with pure, good quality water that's filtered. That's something we talk about in part 2 of the book. I know that I thought my water was filtered and realized that, my little thing in the fridge is not doing the job. And so making sure that you're drinking really good quality filtered water, because that's a nutrient and that's something that your body really, really needs.
I love, by the way, in your book, you have so many resources. As you were talking about the water, I remember reading through your recommendations, happy that I have a Berkey filter. So it was good that I was happy to see that you listed that. But yeah, there's so much you provide in this book. I'm amazed by the plethora of information. So let's talk about, food, I wanted to touch on that a little bit, but again, there are certain inflammation types that certain things you want to address and certain things that will help, for example, as you said, heal your gut, and then that will contribute in a lot of different ways. But talking about, this is one of my favorite topics, is non-toxic living and how much it influences the health of our body, especially the products we put on our skin and around our environment. So decreasing the toxic load, this is a big, big one. As people know, skin is our biggest organ. So what is some of the things that actually I recommend, and I'm going to do it myself because I'm already, this is again, something I love, but in your book, you have a list of all these, for ingredients, for products, you have a list of the things you should avoid. And I would recommend, because everybody's going to get your book after this, I recommend you print that out and study it and maybe put it on the fridge, or I don't know if you should put it on the fridge necessarily, but go over it with your family so that you understand the things you should look for or be aware of in your products. So very often, this is my experience since I try to keep all my products non-toxic. Very often you'll see a product that says organic, vegan, doesn't have phthalates or all these things. But then if you use, I use this app called Yucca, Yuka, which I recommend everybody downloads, or you could look at a website, EWG, and you could basically scan a product literally from your iPhone, go to CVS, scan your favorite product, just the barcode, and it will tell you the rating of how toxic it is. And it will actually tell you what is toxic in it. And then it will also give you an alternative. I don't know if you use this, Maggie. Have you ever used this app? It's phenomenal.
So this was huge. It's phenomenal. I mean, I still use it to this day if I want to try something new. And it was huge in helping me navigate the swaps when I was going through the non-toxic living, like you, and trying to figure out what the heck is healthy for me. Like, what kind of products can I use? And but I love the non-toxic living because it's something that is, in my opinion, it's a lot easier to, switch your counter cleaner with this other counter cleaner. It's not something that you have to mentally really think about. Once you do it, it's done. And then every single day you're less toxic. Find a new favorite lotion that you love or a new favorite hair product, whatever it is. And I do use those apps 100%. And don't be discouraged if you try something non-toxic and it doesn't work and you hate it. That's okay. It's going to take some time to find your new fave products. And it's also, it's dependent on the person. What my favorite deodorant is, you might hate. And what your favorite deodorant is might not be the best for me. And so it's going to take a little bit of time to figure out your new favorite items. But once you do, it's so easy because every single day you just have way less toxins in your life, and you're going to naturally just feel better just by living and existing. Yes, but the EWG, Yucca, fantastic options. It's so cool to see the items that you're using. And then when you have a score that's really low and whatever you've chosen is good, it actually changes your mood. if you know what you're putting on your skin or what you're breathing or whatever it is like EWG 0 or whatever it is,
Yeah.
you feel good about it. Whereas if you're putting something on that's like a rated 7, you're like, oh shoot, I know this isn't good for. It's not the same. So it's so helpful to see that level, so you know what you're doing for your body is helpful or harmful, and maybe hopefully you would make a change about the harmful item.
Yeah, I think it's so empowering because I know sometimes it's almost like you're opening Pandora's box. Like I remember sharing about yucca to somebody. I'm like, just so you know, when you scan something, you might be like, oh my gosh, I use this every day and look how toxic it is. And that's why, again, like looking at a label, it might seem like it's non toxic by saying all these things, vegan, organic, and all these things. But once you maybe utilize what we just talked about, and it gives you other options. And like you said, try things. If it doesn't work, switch. It took me forever to find my non-toxic foundation. Finally found one I love. I've been using the same skincare brand for at least 3 years or more that I've stuck with, that is all non-toxic. I'm happy to share it in the show notes because I highly recommend it. But it's so empowering, if anything, because now we're like, oh, I'm taking care of my health. Like I'm doing things to improve my health. And so that's why I think it's so important that this conversation, like there's many easy things you could just switch over. And like you said, once you switch your, counter spray disinfectant, like that's it, done. Okay, perfect. And there's so many options. So, but this is the thing that we're talking about today is like all these little things add up. And if you have the power to control your environment, of course, not the outside world, but your home and the products you use and the fragrances, by the way, let's talk about that because a lot of people don't know how toxic perfumes, colognes, and SPFs are. And I think those are two very toxic things that do have alternatives. So what would be your recommendation? I have personally mine, but what would you say about that? Because I think that's so important.
Yeah, I was a Yankee Candle girly.
Oh,
Before I went through my health problems, and we grew up with candles and scents, and so it's toxic. You're breathing that into your body, and it's a smell, but those are ingredients. That's how the smell is created, and your body is like, "What the heck is this?" And so it inflames to attack it. So instead, really, when you're going through a healing journey, I recommend unscented everything. Actually, so every product that you can find that's unscented, that's the one I would choose. No candles, no even essential oils, honestly. No
mm,
wall plugs, no, the countertop unscented, the dishwasher pods unscented, the shampoo unscented, the lotion unscented. That is going to help your body because again, instead of dealing with trying to interpret the scent and do what it needs to do and detoxify from the ingredients, it can just focus on the other thing that it needs to do, like balance your hormones or heal your gut. And so really I focus on unscented. Then I like essential oils. For, if you're having a party and you want the house to smell good, or you're just like, you're in that mood or it's fall. I think that it's fine to do essential oil diffusers or some candles that do use typically either wax or some kind of, healthier ingredient. And then they use essential oils as the scents. Again, you just have to be careful and look at the ingredients there, but you'll find your favorite products. But even then, I don't like it to be 24/7 because think about essential oils. They serve a purpose, right? They're healing. Like people use them for healing properties. So you don't want that 24/7 in your house because your body is still interpreting and using that. So that's my spiel on fragrances and scents.
yeah, it's so important and critical to note. I love that you say like start like on your healing journey, as I hope people after listening to this episode will be like, oh, maybe I don't have inflammation that I know of, but let's just go on this journey. Let's see what my healthiest healthy looks like and see how you feel, and then start maybe slowly adding things in, but a healthier version that will
Yeah.
keep your inflammation in check. And that's the thing is like, I believe it's a lifestyle. I believe everything you share is a way of creating a lifestyle for yourself. It's not you know, oh, I can't have this. And so like life sucks, but it's actually like, oh, there's an alternative. And thankfully, because this is so much more known today of the toxic load that so many things carry, that there's so many alternatives. So really it's not like oh, I can't have this. It's like, no, you could have this, and like there is another option.
It's actually a huge
So
status upgrade. And I think that if a lot of people, yes, they feel like, oh, I have to do this diet, or like, oh, I have to switch out my products. That's not the mindset to have, and you're not going to have a very enjoyable process and journey. But I really view this as a status upgrade. This should be exciting and fun. And you should be like, oh my gosh, like you said, even if you're not struggling right now, like tons, like how much better can it get? How much better can you feel? And what if you do these things and you actually just feel the best you've ever felt, or that thing that you thought that you'd have lifelong because your mom has, you don't have anymore. It's just, get curious and get excited and have a fun time up leveling your health and finding your new favorite products, and nourishing your body with things that give you energy and help to heal.
And just feeling your best. I mean, that is my goal in life, to like feel my most vibrant self and live a healthy, happy, long life. And really, to live a happy, long life, the body you live in needs to be like carrying you through that life, and it has to be healthy to do that, and to be able to sleep well, be able to think well and move well and all the things. But the only way to do that is by reducing the inflammation and the problems that are happening internally in your body. And I love that you bring up predestined genetics, that just because your mom, dad, your grandparents had a certain disease, that doesn't mean you're predestined or will not have that. And you talk about this in the book. It's a lifestyle that creates, basically, that ignites that trigger that is possibly in your genes already, but that doesn't mean you're predestined to have it. It's the lifestyle that actually determines that. And I think that's so important to talk about, because I think some people that hang their hat on, oh, that's, like that's in my genetics. I meant, like all my parents are overweight. So, or both my parents are overweight. So, I was kind of predestined to be overweight.
Yeah. Change your story, change your narrative. You get to decide how you feel. Yes, maybe you have things that are stacked against you more than others, but you can deal with that in a way that, you go down that same path and you just accept, like, it's just genetics. It's just, everybody's obese, or always everybody has this and thing. Or you make a change and you think, oh, I'm not going to have that path. I'm going to change my story, and I'm going to see how amazing I can feel if I do these things. And luckily, there is so much information out there now that really, whatever is in your family, or whatever you're struggling with right now, I bet if you start to take control of your health and start to really get curious about things, you'll probably stumble upon a lot of answers for how to get rid of it and how to rebalance your body, so that's no longer your narrative, and that's no longer your reality, and you have a new reality. The coolest part about this that I love is that then over time, then it does get out of the genes. You can change the genetics of your children and then their children for generations to come. And that's really cool. The choices that you make right now could potentially change your children's lives. It does change your children's lives.
Absolutely. I love that. And so, as going back to your book, Eat to Treat, like I said, there was so much information shared in this book. It's like an encyclopedia. You share so much of how to reduce your inflammation, and like you did talk about. You talk about mindset as well, but you also talk about tools that you could use. Like, I love that you mentioned red light therapy is a great way to reduce inflammation. Obviously, lymphatic drainage massage, dry brushing. So there's so much wealth of information in this book. So of course that will be in the show notes. Everybody go grab it. I know honestly, it's a perfect book to gift somebody. It's not like saying, hey, you need to be healthy. It's more like, I love you and I want you to be healthy. Like, that's the way I see it personally. Just think about your loved ones and who you could gift it to for this holiday season coming up, which is insane to even say so. But anyways, I want to, if you have a second, I wanted to also talk about, you work with people to build out their nutrition or fitness businesses. So you do business coaching. If you want to touch on that a little bit and kind of what you offer, but also in conjunction with that, you also offer a way for people to do their own lab testing that they could pay for, where they don't have to work one-on-one with you to get those results, to learn how they could take control of their own health. So can you talk about that? And then also if you could mention some of your business coaching that you have offered.
Sure, I know so much. It really is like you said. It's just so broad. For the book, it is a good gift because it's also very modern. We even have chapters in there like, what to order at the restaurant, or if you're going to drink alcohol, what's the best option for you. It's very just everyday doable for anybody. And so for, like you said, kind of helping clients, one thing that what happened to me is when I was super sick and I was bawling my eyes out after yet again being disappointed by a doctor who let me down. I called my mom and I was just bawling, and she said to me, "No one cares more about you than you. You have to figure this out." And that was so powerful. My whole life changed from that moment. I actually stopped going to all these different doctors and all these different scans. That's when I re-enrolled and went back to school to learn and specialize in functional medicine. And I actually never wanted to have a business in this at all. I was just trying to heal my own body. Once I did that, my whole life was changed. And I was like, I have to help people in this way because wow. And so with that, I want to give you the chance to care more about you than anyone else in the world and to heal your own body. So you can use this book as your complete step-by-step guide as if you are a one-on-one client, because this is what I do with my one-on-one clients. So you literally just get to hear what I do and soak it up. And then we have access now available, luckily, that you can even order your own lab testing. You don't have to ask me or hire me or pay a practitioner or wait around to get into a clinic. You can actually go on our website and just click and order your own labs, figure out what your nutrient levels are, figure out if you have a gut parasite, do you have heavy metal toxicity, the hair tissue test you were talking about that shows imbalances in different areas like your adrenals, your thyroid, your sugar regulation. So you have the power, and you are the one who cares enough about you to go out there and figure out what's going on, and then use the book as a guide to rebalance and heal. It's very cool. I'm actually most proud and excited about this than probably anything I've done in the wellness space so far, because it gives you access to take control of your health at a very low cost versus, I know for me at least, it was a very costly process of healing my body and hiring people to work one-on-one. And sometimes I had to wait for 7 months to get into somebody. And so today you can go and figure out what's going on in your body and use the book as a guide to help you heal. That's all the things on the wellness.
Gold. It's gold.
Yeah.
Like I must say, I mean, the fact that in prep for this interview, I went through your book. Thank you for that, by the way. And literally, I'm telling you, this is gold. And I know a lot about this because it's my obsession as well, but you provide literally the step-by-step tool. It is like you're basically just taking ownership of your health. And I think that's just one thing I like to drill home is like, you need to be the advocate for your health, because so often people will go to doctors and you'll just get this diagnosis and then you'll attach that to your identity. And that's not the end all be all. You get to make a different decision and you get to take care of your health. So everybody. Yes. Yeah. So the book is gold. So that's one thing. Check.
And then the business. So on the business side of things, like I told you, I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't actually even know this was an option for me. I don't have anybody in my life who was giving me the example or telling me that I should do something like this. It came naturally because I was interested in this topic to heal my own body, number one. Then I healed my own body. So I felt better than I've ever felt in my entire life. I was like, oh my gosh, I just feel so liberated waking up feeling amazing. And I don't have to worry about what I'm eating or my bloating or my hormones or lack of period. I don't have to worry about anything anymore. And I don't have any medications I have to take. It just felt so good. And then I was at the same kind of time that I was unaligned with, I was working as a nurse practitioner then at this time. So I was starting to be really unaligned with traditional medicine in general, for sure, because I just told you why. And also I was kind of unaligned with unaligned with going to work every day. As sad as that sounds, it just kind of restricted what made me me. And I didn't want to go down that path for the next 40 years of showing up to work, doing my thing, clocking out, making dinner, going to bed, repeat. I also felt like I'm a growth-oriented individual, and I saw that there was a serious cap here. Looking at people who have been in my same practice for 35 years and they're in the same spot that I'm in coming in as a newbie. It scared me. And so I started my own online health consulting business. This was back in 2017. It changed my entire world. I was able to stay home with my newborn baby at the time. I was able to help people in the way I was passionate about with this, like eat a treat, doing this stuff. I was able to help people one-on-one like that. I was able to work way, way less. And I actually ended up tripling my full-time nurse practitioner income in the first year of business. I was like, whoa, this is it. This is amazing. So years later, we started training other coaches, practitioners in this model that we had figured out for business and marketing. And it's just been so cool. We've had over 1,000 people grow their dream businesses and dream practices with us, which is twofold. They get to have an amazing dream life, and they're helping people in health and wellness, whatever their specialty is. It could be life coaching, it could be gut health, it could be fertility, whatever it is. And so they're helping all these other people. And it's really the coolest thing ever. So yeah, if you've ever wanted to have a career around this through your own health journey or through your passions, that's something that we do in another one of the companies that I own. And it's really cool.
That's awesome. So I will include everything in the show notes, of course, for people to dive more into you and your services and your offerings and how people could work with you, whether it be in healing themselves or starting their own business to help others. It's absolutely fascinating. So much goodness. I could go on and on about this whole topic, and thank you for providing so much wisdom today and just for everything you're doing to help others heal themselves and providing like the actual resource so that people could take ownership of their health. So thank you so much, Maggie. I so appreciate you, and thank you for all your time and just all that you're doing today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'm wishing everybody who's listening right now just the best to your healthiest and happiest life.
Amazing.